And we're back with our favorite MVP of the game, SGT Gillen Retired. Alright, so today's video is going to be about the 7 fundamentals of reconnaissance, and at the same time it's going to be about how you can apply those 7 fundamentals of reconnaissance to your everyday life and be successful at everything you do. Okay? So that having been said, let's get into this. So the 7 fundamentals of reconnaissance are one of the first things that we teach a young scout in the Army. And the first one is maximize recon assets. Okay, and what that means is realize what you have available to you and utilize that in order to accomplish your mission, accomplish your task, and realize that everything is an asset. You know, well, not everything is an asset. Some things are liabilities, but realize that everything you have around you can be a tool, and the ability to improvise is what will save you in the long run in everything you do. Like sometimes you may not have a hammer. Okay, maybe you got to bang something in. Do you have a rock? It's the same thing, right? A hammer is just a more evolved rock. Okay, so realize that these are the basics. You know, you have to be able to, like, if you can always realize that everything you have around you is an asset, you can win. I grew up being a small guy. So being small and being in the Army, you get picked on a lot. With just being small in the world, you get picked on a lot. Okay, you gotta learn to defend yourself. One of my favorite things to use to defend myself: weapons. The ground can be a weapon, things of that nature. Just realize you have assets available to you. Okay, realize that people are assets. Okay, it's not just what you know; it's who you know. Okay. So the next thing you're going to need to know is how to orient the recon objective. In the Army, this means you're orienting towards the objective. But what it really means, what it boils down to is, you need to know where you're going and where you are in relationship to where you're going, right? And how you're going to get to where you're going. You develop that, right? So when you orient the recon objective, you're gaining information about the area of that objective, and you're gaining and you're figuring out where you want to go, right? So the next thing you want to do is you want to gain and maintain enemy contact. Okay, so if your objective is here and you want to get there, now is the time where you want to start meeting obstacles. You know, like this is the time where you're going to start figuring out your competition. Right? That's what you need to do. And you need to figure out your competition and make friends with your competition. Know your competition inside and out. Right? So if you can do that, you'll be successful. Because you know how your competition works, you gain from it. Right? Next thing you want to do is develop the situation. We call this situational awareness. Right? You need to develop what's happening in your life and what's happening around you, and figure out if what you need to take from that, like what you need with you and what you don't, right? Cut strings with what you don't need, take what you do, and move on with it, and evolve that way, grow that way, okay? The next thing you're going to do is ensure continuous recon. So always have eyes on your goal. Always. Never lose focus. You know, even if you veer off, take an unbeaten path, realize that you're still headed towards this goal. It happens to us all the time. We'll be walking, we'll set a course on a point on a map and say, I'm going to walk directly to this course, right? Well, you can't do that sometimes. Sometimes there's a cliff, right? So if there's a cliff here, my objective is over here, right? And there's a hill in the way, I need to either go straight off, straight back up, or I need to skirt. Right? But even if I'm skirting, I'm still moving towards my goal. And the other important thing you need to realize as a scout is that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Okay? It's the most effective way to get someplace sometimes. It's always the fastest. Okay? A straight line is always the fastest. and realize that lines on a map, none of them are straight. Okay? The only ones that are straight are the ones that we draw. So sometimes you got to figure out how to make the lines straighten out yourself. Actually, you always have to figure out how to make the lines straighten out yourself. You know, but yeah, you'll find the shortest distance because. Anyways, not important. The next thing you need to do is to report information rapidly and accurately. Okay? Make sure that the information you're getting is always correct. Okay? And make sure the information that you give out is correct. Make sure that what you're saying is true. And make sure that what's being told to you is true. Trust your sources. But always back check them. Always check your sources. Okay? And if you do that with everything that you do, you'll be successful. I promise. You can't lose. The next thing, and be aware of change. Okay? Always. And that's where you need freedom of maneuver. You need to retain the freedom to maneuver. Okay? And that means you don't get so focused on one objective that you lose sight of everything else. Don't be tunnel visioned. Never follow into, whenever you go into an objective, whatever your goal is, realize that there should be an egress route, at least 2 egress routes for every place you go into. But if you wind up being so successful that you only have one way to go, and there's only one way in and one way out, you make sure that out's not an option. Okay? If you're going in, and you're going into some place and there's only one way in, out's no longer an option for you. You're not giving up. You're not heading out, and you take enough assets with you that when you hit that wall where there's only one way in, you're going through it. That's how winning's done. That's how you succeed. Okay, so you take your assets with you, because retaining the freedom to maneuver just means not being stuck in one place for too long. Right? You never get pinned down. And even if you do get pinned down, have a way to get out, and realize that if you get sunk in someplace, there's always a way out. Always. You can always be rescued, because always somebody who can bail you out. And if there isn't somebody to bail you out, then you need to be that person. You got to get you out. Okay? And realize no enemy is too great for you. There's no amount of adversity that's too big to overcome if you're strong enough and you're determined enough to do it. Because if you look at what's happening in the world today, there's somebody out there, everybody that's successful in what they're doing, it's determination that does it. Okay? And so, if you apply these 7 principles of reconnaissance to whatever you do, and you stay a determined individual, you will be successful at what you do. Every time. Oh. Think like a scout, live like a scout.